to another edition of PP Simmons Radio. Your host, Carl Gallups. Yesterday on Freedom Friday with Carl Gallups, 1330 WEBY, my co-host was Brandon Gallups. Brandon he does call in from time to time with some research information. He is my official research assistant, as well as he contributes quite regularly to the PP Simmons Blogspot syndicated blog, and he's written several articles that have gone viral. So Brandon, thank you so much for being on PP Simmons Radio with us today.
Absolutely, and thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Well, it's my pleasure. And the reason I've asked Brandon to come on is because yesterday he brought some interesting information to the Freedom Friday audience, and I wanted him to bring it to the PP Simmons table today. And that information has to do with the D.C. Navy Yard shooter. And what Brandon did, he put together a timeline of events concerning that and some of the top headline news that goes along with this story. And when you look at it from a timeline perspective, there are some amazing, what would we call it, coincidences, correlations, or perhaps some connections. There's 3 C words for you. Are these coincidences or just strange correlations, or are these actual connections that we need to be making? Well, we'll let you decide that, the listeners, but I've asked Brandon to come on and share this timeline, and the reason we're doing this on PP Simmons Radio today is because Brandon has come up with another very interesting, and I'm going to go ahead and say astounding piece of information that we didn't present on Freedom Friday that I've asked him to add to this timeline. So Brandon, do something similar to what you did yesterday. I'm going to hush in just a moment and let you talk. You go through the timeline beginning with Obama's appearance on CNN and then take us through the timeline from there. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Well, what we start with is on September the 15th, Sunday. The day before the shooting occurred, we have Obama going on interview with George Stephanopoulos, and he goes on to say in that interview that he had 80 to 90% of the American people behind him, in other words, on his side, on gun control.
Huh.
Now, I got to tell you, I've never seen a poll that says that.
No, me either. I don't think the statistics are out there to support that anywhere. I've not seen anything like that anywhere.
Haven't seen them. So just keep in mind, this is September 15th on Sunday, the day before the shooting occurs.
Wow.
So now we get into Monday. Monday morning, first thing, we start seeing these reports of a shooting, with sketchy details, as always. A lot of false information comes out. Now, pretty much immediately that we find out that there's a shooting, of course, CNN goes with the narrative of the gunman is using the evil AR-15.
Yeah.
And we should all just go and hand in our evil AR-15s. And, again, you can do some research and actually find some screenshots where CNN reported that the gunman used an AR-15 shotgun.
Yeah, an AR-15 shotgun. I've got to get me one of those.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking for one today.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and for our listeners that are not that familiar with firearms, there is no such thing as an AR-15 shotgun. But go ahead.
Right, okay. So this is on 9/16, September the 16th. All right, we go a couple of days. The information kind of starts to filter out and come out of what really happened. We find out the guy only used a shotgun and then a handgun that he apparently disarmed a security guard inside the facility and got his hands on. So then we get on to the 18th. The BBC, interestingly, is the first place to report this. No news agency within inside the United States, of course, reports this. But we find out that there was a tactical SWAT team from the Capitol that actually was the first group to respond to the shooter. They were on scene, folks, within 5 minutes.
Wow.
Now, we know that the shooting rampage continued for almost 45 minutes before this guy was finally ultimately killed and this massacre ended. So we have a tactical team from the Capitol on site in less than 5 minutes, and these guys are you ready for it, ordered to stand down.
Oh, my gosh. Well, you say that ain't so. I can't imagine that anybody from the government would ever order military or tactical SWAT team police to stand down when it comes to protecting innocent American lives. Has that ever happened in U.S. history?
Well, it was a long time ago, but it did happen in Benghazi.
That's
yes.
right. That was decades ago, wasn't it? Wasn't that decades ago? Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, there was only 4 lives lost in Benghazi, if my memory serves me correct.
That's right.
So, not that bad.
That's right. And what did
tongue in cheek, of course.
Yes. And what did Hillary Clinton say? What's the big deal? I forgot her exact words, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I try to forget them.
Me too. Anyway, we got you. Okay, so the SWAT team's there. And they're ready to respond. They're there in 5 minutes, and they're ordered to stand down. All right, continue with the timeline.
Now, keep in mind about this SWAT team, the last point I want to make. These guys are from the nation's capital, and, these are some of the most highly trained. I mean, these guys are trained in tactical response. This is what they train for every day of their lives.
Right.
And here they are, ready to do their job, and they're told not to.
Right.
So, I think that's huge as this all unfolds and moves forward. So, that was on the 18th that first came out in the BBC. Now, it has been reported inside the United States since, but just keep in mind, BBC reported it first.
Yes, they did.
Now we move to the 19th, and we find out from the New York Daily News that the gunman apparently had carved into the stock of his shotgun 2 interesting things. On one side, apparently he has carved, "Better off this way." Now, who knows what that really means? But, we know this guy had some issues, had some mental issues. How they got about or how they came to be, we're not really sure. But the second thing that he had carved into his shotgun stock was "My ELF weapon." Now, that's interesting because ELF in military terminology stands for extraordinary low frequency.
Right.
Now, if you do a little research into ELF and extraordinary low frequency, this technology first came about in the 1960s and was used, are you ready for it, for mind control.
Yeah.
Yes, where they actually broadcast these low-frequency waves into people's minds and apparently, reportedly, have figured out a way to, in some instances, actually control people's thoughts and actions.
Yeah, so when I wear my tinfoil hat around the house, I'm not crazy anymore. I mean, there's actually reason for me to wear it, right?
Absolutely, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. So,
just kidding, folks. Just kidding. All right, go ahead, Brandon.
Right. Now, on the same day that this New York Daily News article comes out that this guy has this carved in the shotgun, I heard an astounding interview on a nationally syndicated show. The guy's name was Dr. John Hall. He's an MD out of San Antonio, Texas. Dr. Hall has done some amazing research into ELF technology and going back several years, and has documented the use of this technology on everything from just what appears to be random individual citizens to groups of people, and just laid it out in an amazing format. He's written a book called Satellite Terrorism in America, and how that technology is used for mind control, stalking, gang stalking, and directed energy weapons. Look that up, folks. Do a little checking into it. I think you will be surprised at what you may find out about ELF technology.
Wow. I know I'm going to research it, but anyway, go ahead. The timeline continues.
The timeline continues. Okay. Now we get into yesterday, the 20th of September, and we find out that the SWAT team that was ordered to stand down and then leak that information out to the press, we find out that, amazingly, the leader of that SWAT team has been relieved of his duty in that unit, and that 4 other members of that team have been placed or requested temporary leave.
Yeah, so the leader's been fired.
Yeah, that's what that translates to. Leader, you're fired. The rest of you guys disappear.
Right. Wow. So the guys that were told to stand down, now they're also being terminated and or being disciplined.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've just got to say, from what we've seen in the past, man, these guys are in danger. If they truly were ordered to stand down and then we see them go public, or leak this information out, these guys could be in some trouble.
Right.
And that you have to say that, but we sure have seen a lot of evidence of that in the past.
Right. And so the best thing they can do is tell everything they know quickly.
You know, it certainly would appear that way. It seems that when we see people that just go as public as they can, as quick as they can, they seem to make it. You know, they get the information out there. It's kind of a protection format. But it just seems that time and time again when we see these stories of people, saying, I have this information, I'm going into hiding, they don't ever quite make it into hiding.
Right. Bless their hearts. Well, listen, we've only got about a minute and a half, so continue with the timeline, because so the SWAT team guys that were ordered to stand down just a day later, they're being laid off, terminated, fired, and something else you've uncovered.
Yeah, and I found this buried, I found this in one place, and it's the UK Telegraph. And this was amazing to me. It appears that one of the same elite bomb squad teams that responded to the Boston bombing, and the article goes on to say was instrumental in the capturing of the alleged Boston bombing suspect. Are you ready? Responded to the Navy Yard shooter. So we have the same guys on site that, responded to the Boston bombing, and whatever you think of that, but, it certainly doesn't appear to be what the mainstream talking points tell us it was, respond to this Navy Yard shooting.
Right. That's amazing. What a geographical oddity.
It's geographical oddity. And it just, we have this shooting that happens on a government installation by a government employee at best. And then we have this same team responding to it. We just have a controlled set of circumstances that I think needs to be looked at.
Right. So this is amazing, Brandon. So it begins, and this is where the amazement starts for me. I mean, it could be coincidence. It could be just one of those striking correlations, or there could be a connection, and that is Obama goes to CNN and gives an interview with George Stephanopoulos less than 24 hours before this huge gun slaughter situation unfolds on our television sets. Less than 24 hours before it happens, he's on television complaining about how we need gun control and how he's tried to do it and how Congress stands in his way, but the American people are behind him. We really need to do this because this is going to get ugly. It'll save lives, yada, yada. Less than 24 hours later, we have this unfold.
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing. And if we just look, we know that gun control is part of the agenda.
Yes.
There's no doubt about that. I mean, just look at the things Obama has said, us bitter clingers to our guns and religion. We have Eric Holder saying that we must brainwash the American people about guns. It's got to be done every day. Look at the things that Pelosi and Reid and Feinstein have said. We got Feinstein on tape saying, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them in. I'd take the guns.
Right.
We know this is the agenda. We have to question things.
Right. Absolutely. Well, this is amazing. Well, we've only got about 30 seconds left, so Brandon, we'll wrap up this segment of PP Simmons Radio. But enjoyed you yesterday on Freedom Friday. We're going to have you sitting in much more in the future. Thank you for appearing on PP Simmons Radio today and going back through this, plus adding that extra tidbit of information. The same guys that investigated the Boston bombing are being used to investigate the Navy shooting. Unbelievable. Well, Brandon, God bless you, and listening audience, again, you've been listening to another segment of PP Simmons Radio. Your host, Carl Gallups. My guest this afternoon, Brandon Gallups, and we'll look forward to joining you again sometime soon in the near future. God bless you.